Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, the first day of November 2017. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Miss Joanne. On my immediate right, my pal, the Duke, and my far right, the guy I don't really know all that well, a casual acquaintance. First time in 4 weeks, Mr. David Handy is with us. And before I go on, just to let you know, if you do want to get off your couch and maybe go upstairs and watch us in bed, you can flip up your laptop and just go to Facebook and dial in Northwest Public Access, and you can watch us in comfort. And I hear the phone ring, and we actually have our first call.
All right.
Dave, you're a magnet. What can I tell you?
Perfect.
Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Hi, Leonard.
Coming
I got through.
Loud
God,
and clear,
that's something right there.
Loud and clear. Good job.
But anyway, I think we can all agree this is one of the more entertaining World Series that we've experienced in many years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to share something with you, Nighthawk. After Game 5, I went to bed.
You'll never
and
guess
I had
what
a dream.
Leonard's gonna say.
And I was at the Messenger, early 1970s. We had a teletype machine, United Press International. And if a big story came across, there were bells. You had 1 bell, 2 bells, 3 bells, 4 bells, 5 bells. 5 bells was like a president being assassinated. That was a big, big story. Well, anyway, I got a 5-bell story in my dream. And you know what that dream was? I read the ticker tape, and it said,
Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw, being one of the top 5 pitchers of all time, is one of the biggest jokes perpetuated on human mankind and baseball fans. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but you could not be so far from the truth. The man is not one of the 5 best pitchers of all time and never will be. He'll be in the Hall of Fame, but he'll never go down as one of the top 5 pitchers of all time, and I'll let you in a moment. I hope they let one of the best 5 pitchers of all time throw out the first pitch tonight, and that's Mr. Sandy Koufax. 1965 World Series, Minnesota Twins. He passed up the first game because he's Jewish. He didn't want to pitch because it was Yom Kippur. He lost the second game. He pitched games 5. He pitched game 7 with 2 days rest. Complete game, 3-hitter, 4-hitter, 10 strikeouts each game. One took a little over 2 hours and 30 minutes. The others took less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. He's kind of like Tiger Woods. He had a short window of success, but it was so great, just like Tiger, that Sandy Koufax, one of the best 5 pitchers in history of baseball, and Tiger Woods, one of the best golfers in history. They had short windows, but when they performed on the big stage, they were almost unparalleled. And I will quit now and let you go on.
Yeah. Gene, I thought you were my friend. We had a beer together the other day. You call right up.
I'm not hearing you very loudly. Is it my phone or?
No, it's me. I said, I thought you were my friend. We shared a beverage the other day at the Elks Club. And you call up and just rip me to shreds. You're
acknowledge, Hawk, that the last game really hurt the Kershaw people.
Right. The
4-0 lead, 7-4 lead.
7-4 lead, and he can't even get out of the 5th inning.
You can't screw that up.
Yeah. But I do have a complaint about the World Series. And I always lament about how the younger generation has very little interest in baseball. But when you start these ball games at 8:20 at night, and you got people that actually get up in the morning to go to work.
Oh, yeah.
Via I-89 to Burlington. That game the other night, the 10th-inning game.
I was there. I watched it.
Forget the 10th inning. That 9th inning concluded after 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is a Sunday night where people actually like to rest up.
Game ended at 1:39 a.m., 5 hours and about 20 minutes.
Yeah, big market on the left coast, though. They were pretty early out there.
Well, yeah.
What a game. I've never seen anything like that game.
But that's not real baseball. To me, that was watching a softball game down at Holton Park.
Well, it's college football.
It's
it's entertainment. That's what people want. It's entertainment. Can you imagine if Barry Bonds Jr. on steroids had been hitting that baseball, we could have taken care of the North Korean situation.
David, I thought
Barry Bonds would have hit one from San Francisco to North Korea.
I thought I was watching Ricky Schreiner and Gary Lawton play. I mean, it was just...
Well, it's great entertainment. It's great baseball. It really is.
Leonard,
I mean, these guys are physical specimens. The ball's juice. Something's going on. There's no question.
Leonard,
but still, I mean, compared to the NFL and their trials and tribulations, baseball has offered something really to hang your hat on.
Yes.
This is pure entertainment.
I agree.
I mean, I'll tell you what, juiced baseballs beats juiced players.
yes.
But Leonard, for people that aren't real true baseball fans and only watch baseball during the World Series, they probably do like this, but it's not real baseball. And I just question from the 11 o'clock hour on how many people are still watching the game.
Well, Verlander, for the most part, was real baseball.
Yeah, Verlander was good. But,
Verlander is a big game pitcher. He really is. He's the biggest game pitcher in this World Series, as far as I'm concerned.
But he still wasn't good enough last night.
No, he wasn't. I'm just saying he's still a big game pitcher.
I agree.
Leonard.
He's done it throughout his career, and I still would take him in a big game over any pitcher in this World Series.
You take him over Kershaw?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Leonard, I'm
Who
kidding.
was the guy that said that? Who raised that issue?
That was Richard.
I'm kidding.
That was Richard who said that?
Leonard,
Take Verlander over Kershaw in a big game?
Kidding.
Are you serious?
I'm kidding. Can you hear me?
Oh, no, okay. I just wanted to be sure you were kidding.
What do you think? Give me a break.
Hey.
I'm kidding, obviously.
Leonard,
Well, I hope Fitzy's listening. Because Fitzy goes back to 1940 as a baseball fan. I only go back to 57.
hey, the problem with the World Series for the pitchers, I read it today, the balls are too slippery, and the pitchers can't get a grip on the ball, and Darvish, who had an awful game the other night,
He's pitching tonight, of course.
was pitching with some regular season balls, and then they switched to a couple World Series balls, and he said you cannot, they are so slippery.
Did they run out of Delaware River mud or something?
I don't know, but they the special balls they got for the World Series, the pitchers can't get them.
Really?
And if you notice, and that's not just him. There's been a lot of guys who can't pitch their breaking balls. They can't get a grip on them.
Why would they change balls for the World Series?
Oh, they get commemorative balls, and they.
Well, Kurt Farinas, who you all know, St. Albans native, on Facebook suggested that they introduced these balls in and out. You know, if after a real good pitched game, they throw in the juice ball. You know, and I know what you're saying, Hawk. I'm not. A baseball purist. You like the 2-1 game. You like ABC baseball. Yep. But let's face it. The average fan out there, they love the home run. Yeah. I mean, it's like the 50-yard touchdown pass. I mean, it's like the 3-point shot in basketball. I mean, it's like the slap shot in hockey. I mean, fans love that over 3-2. Yeah, that's my feeling. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Baseball purists may not, but most baseball purists, quite frankly, you'll find somewhere in cemeteries.
Yeah. To me, a perfect baseball score is 4-3. Just enough pitching and just enough hitting.
Well, I think the problem is these managers
They're so regimented.
They've they've burned out all their bullpens. Plus, familiarity breeds contempt. And after 4 or 5 games in a row with these guys, they know exactly what's coming. Yeah. Plus, with the slippery baseballs, the relievers are cooked. When Roberts took out, what's his name, last night after 4 innings.
Man, Rich Hill.
Oh, he wasn't happy. He threw his glove.
No, he wasn't.
That's crazy. He should have left him in there.
I agree.
And after the way
worked out okay for the Dodgers.
It did, but I mean, these bullpen guys can't pitch.
But I'll tell you what tonight, the key man tonight, the Dodgers, I think, can't lose this. I would be really shocked if the Dodgers lose this because their pen is deeper. And the key guy tonight is Kershaw.
How
he's
can
the
you
key
know
guy.
about anything?
He's the key guy. He's coming in at some point.
Yeah,
and he's a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
And he may have been in the spotlight long enough to be able not to spit the bit.
Yeah.
He's due.
No,
he's due.
McCullers is
a couple of innings, Kershaw can be quite fantastic.
Yeah,
and I think Clayton Kershaw is the key to tonight's game.
Leonard, you make an excellent point because they said Kershaw can go 40 to 50 pitches tonight. So, you bring up a very good point.
Oh, Verlander's going to try his arm out. I don't know if they can get an inning out of him or two, but all hands on deck, Game 7, and it's been you say what you want about it being softball versus baseball, but you can't go against the fact that it's been damned entertaining.
Yep.
And then I'll let you go here. I hope Fitzy's listening. I'd love to hear Fitzy's take on this. And the other, here's my a little wager I have tonight. The 10 to win 15. I bet that Altuve would not strike out. That's my wager on the game tonight. We'll see what happens.
What are your odds?
I got the money line was like I bet 10 to win $15.
Okay.
Altuve would not strike out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my wager on the game.
Yeah.
So I'm a big time wagerer, as you can see.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wish I had more time to talk about the Giants. And you talk about the Rats jumping ship. I mean, there's a team in total turmoil.
Oh,
I mean, we could go on about that and the suspensions of your two probably best defensive backs, and that team this year. At the end of the season, if not before, you won't even know a lot of the management personnel. I mean, they're going to clean house. Yeah. They're going to clean house.
I think Leonard, they should have traded. They should have traded Eli Manning to Denver for a couple of first-round picks.
Oh, well, I'd have traded Eli Manning to Denver for a second-round pick.
Yeah. Brock Osweiler, in fact,
back.
Is starting because Trevor Siemian has been horrible.
Brock is back.
To defend Siemian, he was a seventh-round draft pick, so he was nothing more than a third.
Of course, Tom Brady was a sixth-round draft pick.
Why wouldn't Denver? Plus, I didn't think the Patriots got enough for Garoppolo.
We'll get into that.
I got some thoughts on that.
If I were the Giants, I would have traded Eli. I'd have traded any. Plus, the other thing is you got $20 million in one guy. Mm-hmm. If you are going to rebuild, you get a cheap quarterback like the Cowboys, you can put the rest of that money in your offensive line and in other players.
Yeah.
But I don't think, quite frankly, you could trade Eli even for a second-round pick unless you ate some of his salary. Eli's not thought of too highly by many right now.
But, Leonard,
he's on the downside.
I hear that, but I always retort, I see Eli, just like you, every single down. These people on the Internet just look at his stats. They don't see him under harassment almost every pass play. You put him behind the Dallas Cowboy offensive line, and I'll tell you, Eli
he still got it.
Right, he still has it. And Len, you know this. That offensive line is horrible, and it could get worse next year because their best offensive lineman, Justin Pugh, will be a free agent, and Weston Richburg's a free agent. So
it's going to be quite interesting. And before I leave, I want to kudos to Richard and his win story there in the Messenger today. And I took note of your notation of having watched that 1974 PBS Franklin County documentary there, which was good. And you mentioned a lot of people. And I just wanted to throw in the name of Wilfred Rainville, who was on at the end, who's my wife's grandfather. And Wilfred, I'm sure you will agree, Richard, one of the more interesting characters you've met in Franklin County.
In fact, Leonard, I watched that a couple of weeks. I took some notes, and I couldn't find my notes. I took note when I was watching it of Wilfred. Had my memory been better, I would have thrown him in there. Wilfred was great, one of my favorite people. I'm sorry I forgot to throw Wilfred in there. Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, Leonard.
I hope Fitz is listening. I hope he's the next call.
I hope he doesn't call. I've had it with that guy.
Oh, God, I love him. He's a baseball man.
He doesn't buy me a beer at the Elks Club. The hell with him.
All right. There you go.
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Thanks, Leonard.
Now, before we roll on, there's a ton of talk about, and it was in the Messenger last week, and I don't know if it was Emerson Lynn's editorial about the state of Massachusetts, thinking about, or maybe in the legislature, going to Atlantic Standard Time.
Emerson did write an edit about that.
And you know me, I bemoan that fact every year. What's the point, Duke, on Sunday?
Sorry, what's the point of?
Well, why? Okay, Sunday, sunrise here in St. Albans will be 6:36.
You're talking this coming Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
Back to Eastern
Sunset
Daylight
will
Time.
be
Eastern
4.
Standard Time.
Sorry,
Sunset on
Eastern Daylight Standard Time, EDST, if
Yeah.
you want to be official.
Sunset
Yeah,
Sunday
Eastern Standard
will
Time.
be 4:35. Why? What's the point? I mean, how many farmers were thinking like 300 years ago that every other piece of property was a farm in the state of Vermont, and they wanted the earlier sunrise? There's about, 925 farms left in Vermont?
Less than that. I think it's under
About
9.
800.
So, okay. And it is a proven fact, the more daylight,
Dairy farms.
later in the afternoon, early evening, the economy is better.
Well, I think the
People
reason
spend-
why they go to daylight is for the schools and the school buses, so that the kids aren't out there in the dark.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's
No, that's not a crazy reason.
hey, there's a lot of safety issues.
No, it's
If
hardly
the
a
buses are
crazy
picking you up in
reason.
the dark, especially little guys.
I mean, especially with winter, mixing
Yeah.
winter driving.
And also, Duke, look me straight in the eye.
But I believe me, I hate early Sunday. Yeah, I kill for later daylight.
Duke, I'm going to tell you something right now. You, my friend, have played your last round of golf.
Oh yeah, you probably
Okay.
is that for
we
sure?
golfed today. Mike Swim said they may be closing down this weekend.
Oh really?
Really, why is the
Because
forecast
just-
bad?
He said they've been losing money every
Just
day.
no, I mean, just
I
a
went
money
out
thing?
today. There were 6 people golfing.
Well, I'm
Oh,
planning on playing
Enosburg-
Friday.
I'm playing.
Enosburg closed last Sunday, and they stayed open a week longer than they had planned.
What time are you playing?
We don't know yet.
Yeah. I'm going out late Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I hear you, Hawk. Yeah,
I-
I'm done. I guess I'm
Because
done.
I wasn't going to play because I thought it was going to end the 12th. But so
What time are you playing Friday?
3:25.
I might conceivably. I'll remember.
3:25.
Hey, the last
Awesome.
2-3 years we've played golf right till Christmas, for
Yeah,
God's sake.
hard to complain.
Not necessarily here, but I mean,
I'll tell you what. A couple years
York,
ago,
of course, it stayed open. Some of those stayed
all
open.
over in Plattsburgh.
David, 2 years ago, I think, I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the Caribbean. I checked my email. Champlain Country Club open this
Yes.
weekend. And I go, son of a... And my wife goes, what's wrong? I goes, those lucky bastards are up in Vermont playing golf.
It
and
was
I'm-
70 degrees.
Right, and I'm stuck down here in the Caribbean, so... But as I said last week, you weren't here. In fact, you haven't been here since the Johnson administration.
I haven't been here. The Yankees, what a run we had.
Oh, great run. Talk about an overachieving team, which begs the question, what about, well, Joe, thanks for the memories. See ya. Are you upset they didn't renew him, or did that look like that was going to, you weren't surprised?
I wasn't surprised, and I've read a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Everything I've scooped up everything you could read.
Sounds like he wasn't really in sync with the boss people,
He certainly isn't in sync with Cashman,
with Cashman.
but on top of
But
that,
still.
he's a little too intense, is what.
Yep.
Really.
And he plays every game like it's the 7th game of the World Series.
Gee,
And,
with pretty good results, I would say.
well, he is a good
Well,
manager.
the downside is he's kind of like me.
Kinda wears thin a
he
little.
likes
he wears his
he likes to manage with his gut. He's
Yeah.
not into analytics.
Right, that seemed to be the knock, right?
Players, he rubbed the wrong way. He's kind of lost some of the players in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
The press, for the most part, do not like him because, as Dave said,
Just 'cause he's
little.
just pretty tight-lipped.
He's curt.
He has
Curt.
That's a great word. He has no sense of humor.
I'd like to think they respect I hope they
I think so.
respect the
Hey,
guy.
10 years is a long time.
I mean, part of it's just shelf life, I think.
Duke, all he has to do is take a year off,
Oh,
regenerate, and he'll get a job right away.
Either that or end up on TV, like, whatever.
Yeah,
He was on TV for the Yes Network before they hired him.
Okay.
Oh, how was he? You remember him?
I think he was okay because remember he got fired from Miami after he was Manager of the Year.
Yes,
is that right?
Jeffrey Lurie
Yeah.
personally did not like him. Manager of the year and fired him.
I guess I saw a statement. He sounded like he was a little disappointed.
I think he was
He
disappointed.
must have seen that coming.
Yeah, I think he knew it was
Had he made it to the World Series or won a World Series,
that would have been tougher.
Would have been tougher to.
I think for the most part he did a pretty good job. I think
so too.
That I think they made way more out of that boo-boo in Cleveland than they needed to. You know, who knows if you do the replay? I mean, it's all crap.
Yeah.
I wish they'd get rid of the stupid
Duke,
replay.
last week on the show, without David, we were talking about managers' salaries. So Joel Girardi, I was shocked. He was the 5th highest paid manager in baseball.
He was getting a lot more than you thought.
$4 million a year,
or less.
He just
is that right? That's
finished his 4 years, $16 million. He only gets $4 million for the Yankees. Because we were talking, Dusty Baker was only getting $2.
What was Farrell getting? Do you know?
I didn't see what Farrell was.
I think
getting.
probably $1 million or $2.
Well,
I got to think more than that.
He probably got $3 would be my guess. But these, I can't. You would ask me what Girardi got, I would have said at least $8 million.
The number one manager is Joe Madden.
Madden's up there.
Maybe $5 or $6 million.
I remember when Francona signed his last contract.
Francona's probably making
with the Red Sox. At the time, he was only making $2. Now, 2 years ago, of course, Dusty Baker, just like Girardi, his contract expired. Now, the word is Mike Rizzo actually wanted him to stay. It was the billionaire owners, the Lerner family, did not want him. So
I think he's a pretty good manager, Dusty.
Well, the thing with Dusty is for 162 games, because everybody loves playing for Dusty, he's a great guy for the regular season. X and O's during the playoffs, and not just the last 2 years with Washington, but he has a history with all his teams is being knocked out first round, and at his age, 67 or 8, he won't
probably
he won't get employment anymore. But 2 years ago, we had an agreement with Bud Black before we got.
But
Dusty.
they wouldn't pay him
$1.6 million. And I quote, "I'm insulted by this offer," Bud Black said. And they gave him a take it or leave it proposition. And he left it. Of course, he signed with Colorado last winter and had an excellent season with the
Probably
Rockies.
National Manager of the Year.
But just put in perspective, Dusty Baker getting $2. Remember Sean Kelly pitched briefly with the Yankees, Padres? He's on the Nats. He gets $5 million a year, okay, as a 6th, 7th inning pitcher. Barely played this year with injuries. He's got another year in his contract. You can't tell me a manager isn't worth at least $10, $15 million.
Well, I think maybe that might even have been part of their thinking, is that they probably would have to pay maybe $5 or $6 million a year, and they can get this new guy for a couple million.
In the words I'm hearing is maybe a minor league manager out of the Yankee system that they probably could get for $2.5.
I've heard Raul Ibanez might be. They want a guy like the guy the Dodgers have, and like Hinch. Oh. They want a Roberts. They want a guy. They don't want an old warhorse. They want a young analytical.
This Dave Roberts,
rah-rah.
What a extremely likable person.
Yeah, he is.
He is so down to earth.
You're a Red Sox fan. You kind of like Dave Roberts.
I really didn't like him for a long time. I'm still a little bit scarred.
And I'm rooting for the Astros simply because Dodgers payroll $245 million, and the Stros were $144.
Hey, I give the Dodgers a lot of credit. Do you know how much dead money they've got right now?
Carl Crawford, maybe?
You've still got Ethier that's hardly played. How about our old buddy, the first baseman there, Adrian Gonzalez? They're paying him like $10 or $15 million a year, and they didn't even put him on the roster.
No, he's actually not even with a team.
He's gone.
Stay home. He's not even in the
Not even in the dugout.
Yeah.
And
he is injured, right? Or is he?
He's injured.
Well, he wasn't hurt that much, but he got hurt a lot worse when Bellinger came.
Yeah, I'll take a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Go ahead, caller.
Astros 4, Dodgers 1.
Is that? Oh, that's your. That's not the game's just starting, right? That's your prediction. Fitz, that's your prediction. That's not the score right now, right?
Pardon?
the game is just starting. That's not the score right now, right?
No, that's my prediction.
Okay, thank you. That was unclear. Thank you.
That's my prediction.
Gotcha.
Now, what are you basing your projection on, Nighthawk? Because you're a National League fan?
I don't like the Dodgers. They've always been a snobby, high-spending team. I just mentioned they have a payroll $245. They're $50 million over the what is it, David? The tax,
luxury tax is at 190.
And in the words of John Lennon and Paul McCartney, money can't buy love. In the words of the Nighthawk, money can't buy a World Series, or I hope.
Well, your earlier caller, who I have a great deal of confidence and faith in, said he would be shocked if the Astros won. I don't quite understand his logic.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong word. I certainly would not. I wouldn't use that.
I think they get the
What's
better
shocking
pitcher.
about a first-class team like the Astros beating the Dodgers?
Well, I mean, given how it's played out, how can you be shocked about anything? Nobody knows anything about what's been happening with this series.
I know. They're both two good ball clubs.
Yeah.
I think the Dodgers pitching may be a little more than the Astros, a little stronger perhaps.
Fitzy,
I'm not impressed with this kid they're throwing tonight. Never have been.
You Darvish?
Darvish?
Yeah.
Yeah, they picked him up from the Rangers at the trade deadline. Hasn't really pitched that well for him.
No. And
he didn't never pitch that well with the Rangers. He was hurt most of the time.
And McCullers is lights out when he's on.
He's good.
Yeah, but he can be erratic.
Hey,
Can't they all be in a series? Both teams are exhausted.
Their bullpens are cooked.
There they are. They really are cooked. And I don't know who's got what left, but I think low scoring. I think 4-1.
I'll hearken back to Leonard's excellent point, which I rarely ever use that term in the same sentence with Leonard Parent's name. But when he said Clayton Kershaw's the key to tonight's game, because no doubt in my mind he will be coming in during the game.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Yep. So
I don't think they can win without him.
Yeah. But, this reminds me of Game 5 of the Nationals in the Cubs series. We brought Max Scherzer in. I'm watching the game, and I said, in my infinite wisdom, that's it, game over. Max Scherzer's in pitching, and he proceeds to give up 4 runs. So.
Yeah, I know it. Well, it's been a pretty good series.
Yeah.
That's a
I think these baseball series, Fitzy, are getting to be almost as tough as the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I know. I agree. I agree with you, Dave. I don't know. I like baseball. That's a game I understand the best, I guess you would say.
Fitzy, let me ask you, and I was belaboring the point of they start the games too late and the games with all the relief changes, the games last way, way, way too long. Fitzy, you're a great baseball guy. Were you up at 1:30 in the morning Sunday night?
Yes.
So you did stay up for it.
But I agree with you. Not many do.
Yeah.
They have to go to work in the morning. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I stayed up and watched it.
Yeah.
I was up.
But they can't start any earlier, Nighthawk. They lose half their business on the West Coast.
Well, why didn't they start the Sunday game at 4:08 in the afternoon?
They don't want to conflict with football.
Football. They wouldn't,
deal.
They wouldn't think about that.
I know, but they got a deal with the NFL. They wouldn't do that.
There was football on Sunday night.
Well, there's
Also,
but one
just
game.
one game. And the truth be told, a game like Cleveland and anybody else would still outdraw a World Series game.
In fact, speaking of Sunday night, seems like I heard the World Series game Sunday night outdrew the football game for the first time in years.
Ever. Well, gee, I wonder why that is. What we've been talking about for the last 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think Farrell's going to get a job, do you?
No.
They're getting slim.
No, I thought maybe Philadelphia, but did they go with Mickey Callaway?
Yeah.
No, they went with Gabe Kapler.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they went with Kapler, which
Yeah.
I never thought was a good baseball man.
But he had good words. I mean, after he didn't have much of a career, but he ended up in the Red Sox farm system at Greenville.
Yeah,
he was manager
he
of the
did.
Greenville Drive in the
1 year.
Sally League, South Atlantic League.
2007.
I've always read a lot of good stuff about Kapler.
Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, highly respected from the Cleveland Indians, actually signed with the New York Mets. So Farrell's out of the job. There's nothing left for Girardi either. But I didn't expect Joe looking for work this year anyway.
And Farrell, I think, at least has at least one more year of pay coming, I think, at least one more year.
There's no opening in Miami?
Don Mattingly's there.
Oh, that's right. There's nothing going to happen
Now,
there.
in Miami is an unbelievable story. Derek Jeter, who's just the face of the new ownership, he probably only has $10 million in the sale. But they're cutting Fitzy. Their payroll was around 140. They're going down to $90 million.
I know.
Giancarlo Stanton, in his 59 home runs, will be...
That's how it's going to have Stanton.
Well, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. He has some outs or ups in his contract, but if he waives those, he could end up on the Red Sox. He's underpaid at around $29 million a year, so that's a bargain pick. The only bad thing I will ever say about Stanton is he's brittle as a pretzel, but he played 155 games this year and a cool 59 home runs, 132 RBIs.
Well, they've got to have some thunder in the middle of that lineup.
Well,
they don't have it.
And I'll say it again, this is for my brain. You put Stanton out in right field, and you put Mookie Betts at second base, his natural position. Again, he's a great athlete. He probably could catch if he had to. But Mookie Betts, hands down, would be the premier offensive second baseman.
He played second base.
Right. He came up as a second baseman.
What do you do with Pedroia?
Right. Pedroia, I'll tell you what I would do with Pedroia, honestly. I'd give him a first baseman and put him over at first.
No, I'd send him in the clubhouse and tell him
or that I'd get rid of him.
Bitching and moaning.
Right. He is a bitcher. I would actually, David, pay half his salary and get rid of him. He's overstayed his welcome. It's time for guys like Mookie Betts to take over the team and become the leader. It's a great young team, and they need better leadership.
Well, Pedroia is just a darn good player, though. He's still good. I didn't realize he was that much of
He's
a...
lost his step. Why wouldn't he?
He won't be playing till June 1st anyway.
Which again might
He's
be the best thing to happen.
Probably the last part of May.
What, did he finally get his knee fixed?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
Did surgery.
He's out till at least probably the 1st of June.
Yeah, that's good.
They
That's-
said
that's
6
good.
months.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good news for maybe everybody.
Yeah.
At least if the Red Sox didn't kill Mr. Nunez.
Maybe do.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, 4-1 Houston.
Thank you, Fitzy.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
Feds.
thanks for calling.
David,
See ya. Okay. Bye.
do you know
Yep.
who the number one minor league prospect is in all of baseball?
Gleyber Torres.
You are correct, sir. Number two is my Victor Robles, the outfielder. Torres is a shortstop.
Right, but you know what they've been doing? They've been following the plan that Houston had, and they're taking, like, what they're saying now, the new model for baseball where you have very few players on the bench because you got 12 pitchers, is you got guys that can play multiple positions.
If
Yeah, that's
David,
only
if the
a few.
season started tomorrow for the Yankees, would Torres have a starting
Yes.
position?
Yes.
Third base?
They, I think it'll be third base. It could be second base. Maybe they'll flip Castro.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think they they've got enough other guys. They got enough other guys. They don't need to. The only old guy they could probably have to keep is.
Oh, we have a call.
Very good.
Yep. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports
Dee.
Show in Franklin County. Hello.
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 How you doing?
Good.
So what is on your mind today or tonight?
Hi, Grant.
Is this Buster?
Yes.
Hi, Buster. This is my granddaughter.
Oh,
Her first call, Hawk,
It's her first call.
on the show?
So, Buster, are you going to spend
Hey,
the night?
Graham.
Hey, what?
How about the Giants?
You used to be my favorite granddaughter. Not anymore. I bet your mother made you say that.
Oh my gosh, you're so mean.
Yeah. So, are you going to sleep over tomorrow night, Buster?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we'll have some fun tomorrow night. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Buster, for calling. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
See ya.
sweetie.
Love you.
Love you too, honey. Bye-bye. That's
But Buster's real name is?
Chloe. But
Chloe.
Sorry, Chloe?
yeah.
That's a great name.
Now,
How old is she?
8.5.
Oh, boy.
But the thing is, when I held her as a little baby, and she had to and she had a smirk on her face, and I go, "Listen here, Buster."
Oh,
And I said, "Well, you look like a Buster." There are not many girls with a nickname of Buster,
that's,
but that's her name. But
Of course, her mother is Punky, right?
well, my daughter, who's 32, I still call her Punky. When she was born, her body was about that big and her head was like that. And I said to myself, "Oh my God,
That's
this kid's got
nice.
a pumpkin head." So,
Was that some Pumpkinhead?
Pumpkinhead. So I call her Pumpkinhead for the first couple of weeks. Then I call her Pumpkin. Then it just
get to
Sure.
Punky.
That must have endeared you to her mother.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So now I just call her Punky, and I still do. So
No, was reading today, as a matter of fact, I've been trying to bone up because
Yeah.
I've got so much stuff here, is that the new formula for success if you look at the Astros, Marwin, whatever his name is, he used to be a shortstop. Mm-hmm. The third baseman, Bregman was a shortstop.
David, he was the number 2 overall pick in the
Yes.
draft 3 years ago.
But Correa was number 1.
Yeah, Korea's a beast for
Correa's big boy.
a shortstop.
And if you look at the Dodgers, look at their center fielder, Taylor. He was a shortstop.
Yeah.
Shortstops can play anywhere.
Well, Chris Taylor is a story among us. He was just a scrub player that they picked up from Seattle, and he just played well.
Just
and
turned into something.
earned himself a starting position.
But I think that's what they've been with Torres. They've been, of course, he got hurt. I think he's better now. He had I think he had Tommy John surgery on his non-throwing elbow. Remember, he got hurt at home.
Torres came from what team?
The Cubs.
Right, because what was the trade?
Chapman.
Okay, because when that trade was made, of course, Chapman didn't have a great year. However, a lot of people cannot believe that Torres would be included in this trade. Like, this guy is such a top prospect, and right now he is the number 1.
Well, I think, too, when they made the deal, I think the Cubs were so desperate to get Chapman.
Yeah.
They may have overpaid.
And he pitched for them for, 2 months?
Yeah, and they won a
won
World
the World
Series, and that's all they had. It took them 108 years. They finally got one.
No, David, another thing, Duke, just keep reading this, the Hawk and Dave show right now.
Hey, good to have Dave back. And
okay.
always good to have you. Huh?
Aaron Judge had a decent year
Pretty
this
good
year.
season.
284.
Record number of
52 home runs, 114 RBIs. And I'm not going to pick on him. This is a...
How many strikeouts?
That's my point.
Almost 200,
It's an
right?
epidemic. How can we improve on the 2017 upcoming Rookie of the Year? He had 208 strikeouts.
208?
So, David, so my question I'm going to pose to you is this. You're the New York Yankee hitting coach. Option A, do you leave him alone and say, I'll take the 52 home runs? Or do you say, if I can get him to go from 208 strikeouts down to 150 strikeouts, that's 58 more times he can put the ball in play. That might be 10 more home runs. So what do you do with this guy? And again,
You have to. And not just him, Bird.
right, there's a lot of these
There's
guys.
a lot of these guys, and that is one of the things that made the Astros so good this year. Is they were the lowest striking out team, I think, in the American League. And 2-3 years ago, all these young guys had about the same tendencies. There were a lot of strikeouts. The team, if you notice, you know why Jock Peterson was so excited last night? Because he hit that home run to the opposite field. And the Dodgers have been trying to get him. The guys in the dugout had money for him if he could hit a ball to the opposite field.
Now, he's got 3 home runs in the World Series. Wasn't even on the roster during the first 2 rounds. And if he wasn't the Rookie of the Year last year, he might have been rookie runner-up.
2 years ago, I think.
Was it? And this guy just faded this year.
He was an all-star, and then after the all-star game, he went right in the toilet.
Yeah. Now, the good thing also about Judging, 100, let me get this here, 127 walks. He had an on-base percentage of 422. If you're up around 375, that is really good. 422. But here's a kid just harnessing his talent. I mean, it's like the $6 million man. We can rebuild him and make him better. So,
plus, he hasn't been playing baseball at a serious level that long. Remember, I told you he was recruited to play football. And then he ended up switching to baseball, and he's still raw.
yeah. And if you remember back in March, David, and the only reason I knew about Judge is I saw him last year, and this guy was like 7 feet 2 inches, and wears that number 99. And so, what a weird-looking baseball player. But I remember he was horrible. I think
Couldn't hit.
Fort Lauderdale, wherever
terrible.
they do, and he barely made the Yankees out of spring training camp this year. He could not hit a lick.
Well,
spring.
Hicks really beat him out. Hicks was good.
Yeah.
And what do the Yankees do? We got some issues. I think they'd like to keep Gardner. I think they like Gardner. I think Ellsbury.
Where is he, David, on his contract here?
Oh, he's still got 3 more years
Wow.
and about 50, 60 million bucks.
3 more years.
And he's
They're
getting, what, 20 million a year?
Yeah,
I think? Wow.
or 18, or they're going to have to pay about 3/4 of his salary. They're going to have to do to him what they did with McCann. They'll have to pay most of it, but he's got to go. He's clogging up.
Yep.
He's clogging up a space for some young guy, because that Clint Frazier's a pretty good player too.
Well, the aforementioned Aaron Hicks next season, does he have a starting position?
Well, I don't know, but Hicks is a very good outfielder.
Right. Do you put him in left and Gardner back in center?
You look, you know what's happening? What's old is new again. Hitting, defense. When it gets to the teams in the playoffs, they're all way more fundamentally sound. That's like the trouble the Red Sox had. They weren't that fundamental. They got some guy. They got a really good outfield, but you got to hit. You hit behind the runners. The guys like McCann, they've been getting base hits. Even though during the regular season, they never got base hits. When the playoffs come, it's a whole different game. It's the way it's really supposed to be. And they really, I think, look at the Yankees. They could have put Ellsbury in. Ellsbury had a good last month, but his defense, his arm, I got a better arm than he does.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So they put in Hicks because Hicks has got a gun.
So, in the offseason, of course, the hot stove league doesn't really start until next Monday when the season's done. But what will the Yankees' number one priority be in the offseason?
Well, it looks like they're probably the most likely to get that guy from Japan.
Oh, really?
Who's the pitcher? He's Babe Ruth. He's a really good pitcher, and he's a home run hitter.
Okay.
And the biggest thing the Yankees have to worry about, they got Tanaka can opt out. All right, and I don't know why he would. He's going to be getting $23 million a year for the next 3 years.
Okay. His stats overall were not good, but he was rocked April and May.
He was really good in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think they want to keep him. The talk is maybe they'll do an extension. I'm sure he wants to stay in
Is he happy in New York?
I think so.
Okay. So, Mr. Duke, Red Sox, to me, their priorities first base. And Sam Travis, are they going to give the job to him? He's 24 years of age right now. And his time is now. Either they play him or they cut bait and trade him for something.
Yeah, I'm not reading much about him. They were real high on him for a while. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Again, the World Series is for somewhat unusually has kind of captured my attention and stuff.
Now, Giancarlo Stanton, does he play first, or is he strictly outfield?
He's a very good right fielder.
He's a good outfielder.
I would say very good. Yeah, better than average. And one thing about the Red Sox pitching, people forget, this guy isn't Cy Young, but he's an inning eater, and he's a very good number 5 starter. Stephen Wright will be back next year.
Your Cy Young guy for the
last year, 2016,
first half
of the season, he was the best.
And you'll get a lot better season out of Porcello this year. I'll guarantee you
right.
that.
Well,
Right.
He's bound to swing
Right.
back.
All he has to be, David, is an average pitcher. That's all.
Yeah. And
The David Price. I mean, what does Alex Cora do? I mean, the David Price issue continues to hung over them all season.
Yeah.
What does he do with David Price?
I'll tell you what I would do if I was Cora. He's a rookie manager. First day of spring training, you call him in the office.
Hey, David,
and
here's
I
the
am not
story.
going to put up with any of your BS at all. I'm the boss here, okay?
How about if you have nothing good to say about people like Eck, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, absolutely.
if I were Dombrowski, I'd get rid of Price.
But again, good.
You're going to
luck.
you're going
You're going to pay half his salary probably anyway.
Half. You're going to have to pay more than that. But you know what?
So why- so
Sometimes
then-
it's addition by subtraction.
I
guess I'd give it at least one more year to play out. Plus, he did pitch some good relief for what that's worth.
You're going to pay a guy $30 million to
Come
do
in the
something that
seventh?
you can get a $2 million a year guy to do?
Well, again, this it was kind of a lost year. I mean, he got hung up in the Eck thing, but again, he was injured most of the year. And his first year wasn't terrible. Wasn't terrible.
They say
Not
he
gonna-
was
not
the
gonna-
reason for. He really caused a lot of the clubhouse.
there's no question about that.
Still, for the record, they still managed to win the AL East.
Yeah,
You know,
but-
not like it's a
But
terrible
the Duke
team.
is right. Even if you eat half the salary, that's $16 million you're going to give away each year for the next 4 or 5 years.
I think it's another 7-year contract, another
Yeah,
5. I think
it was 210 for
he's
7.
got to opt out. But again, that begs the question: who's going to?
He actually, David, got 217 because Scherzer got 210 the year before.
Oh, okay.
And he wants to be paid higher than Scherzer. Scherzer's getting 30, and Price is getting 31.
Is there anybody out there as a free agent that
David,
you would pay that kind of money to right now?
Duke and I...
Why would these teams? Why? I mean, wouldn't you think these insane contracts would? These guys
They're
would.
poison.
Yeah. Duke and I disagree on most stuff. However, we agree on free agent pitchers. Don't pay them. Just stay away. Now, Steven Strasburg, we got him at a bargain basement at $25 million a year. His lifetime ERA is 3.09, like the third best of active pitchers. However, when you think of Steven Strasburg, it's like Nixon. When you think of Richard Nixon, you always think Watergate first, right?
Duke Law School graduate.
When you think of Strasburg, you always think of injuries first with him. Great pitcher, but so that's a high risk. And of course, Scherzer's could win a second Cy Young in a row in a couple weeks, but it's high risk. And the thing I can tell you about the Nats, we have nobody, absolutely nobody down the pipe to come up to take. It's just, we have a lot of great
Pitching or any
pitching.
pitching?
Positional players, we have a lot.
Just like the Red
we
Sox.
have nothing, nothing.
Just like the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Look at their position. As you said, they could be starting one of their own guys in every position next year. And how many good starting pitchers have they developed in the last 20 years? How about one? Sorry, he's not still with them. John Lester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buckholz
Lester.
was one of your.
Oh yeah, how many good? I'm sorry, how many?
on the Phillies
how
now?
many good starting
Right.
He was on the
pitchers?
Phillies, but he
Yeah,
got
talk
hurt
about
right
a
off.
tortuous guy.
You're right, because the Nats, even winning 97, they had to sign suitcase Edwin Jackson to finish the last 3 months of the season.
That guy,
we had
real.
nobody, and
See, we're loaded.
But John Lester, yeah, thanks to them screwing up Lester.
What was their offer,
David, 4 years, 70 mil. And again,
Okay.
I realize to the uninitiated out there, what, 4 years, 70 million? You guys say it's a
Dude,
sorry, it was a
what is
joke.
that?
It was a joke offer.
$17.5 million.
Ended up getting
offer.
what, 5 at
So
150?
again, because of that
or
debacle, that's where that's where David Price came from. Remember the year in spring training they didn't have the ace. All the pitchers were all aces. Yeah, right. And then they were in desperation. I mean, they were feeling so much pressure. They go out and break the bank for David Price.
See, the other guy I'd send packing is Hanley Ramirez. He's worthless.
Hanley, I'm not sure he's worthless, but he had a very unimpressive year.
You're going to have to eat a lot of his. But
after a year when he kind of came out of, when I wanted him out, gone so much, 2 seasons earlier, he actually had one good season, played a decent first base, and then he regressed.
He's the type of guy I don't want in my clubhouse because the Red Sox have so much great young talent. I don't want these guys to get diseased by guys
I'll tell you what I would do.
It wasn't a good clubhouse.
The first thing I would do if I were the commissioner of Major League Baseball is I would firstly come out with...
No beards?
No, with...
I think Kennesaw Mountain Landis? You don't think he would have allowed a beard?
I cannot... I think... And not only that, they need to have the uniforms be uniform. Either you button a top shirt... You either have stirrup socks, you have no socks, but whatever it is, everybody wears the same. And the NFL, you get a $10,000 fine if you have a sock that falls down.
David, if you open up your Webster's dictionary right now, in the definition of uniform, the same. That's all. We're all uniform. We're the same. Now, to me, the best part of a baseball uniform is their stirrups. I love the pants to the knees, and I love looking at the socks. And these baggy pants I don't like.
I don't like that the buttons are undone and the T-shirt.
I don't like medallions or medals falling out.
They gotta, because they spend a lot of money with these logos and these uniforms. And these players totally disrespect them. And the batting helmets are all covered with pine tar.
Yeah. David, do the Yankees still have a no facial hair policy?
Yeah. Well, you can grow a mustache.
You can grow a mustache.
You can grow right? You grow a mustache.
Well, was it Johnny Damon always wore a beard?
Yeah.
Went to the Yankees and had to shave.
Well, he looked like Jesus when he was
that's right.
down.
His hair was down here.
They gave him a haircut, too.
Yeah. Do you know what? Johnny Damon was kind of like the hippie. He kind of made this look today. He was ahead of
the Doug Dynasty crowd, the dreadlocks, all that stuff. If I were running the league, and you know what?
Well, David, let me ask you about these big beards. Not that I'm capable of growing a beard of that stature.
Have you ever had a beard?
I've worn a beard, but it was nothing. Yeah, but I was in my 20s.
Had a scraggly beard.
I haven't had a beard in 20 years.
But David, when you're playing in middle of July,
it's got to be
that's
awful.
my right. It's got to be hot. Now that, like Justin Turner, it's a great looking deer hunting beard, but
hey, I don't care what you do in the off season, and I'm not fussy that way. But I'm telling you, if I were running the major leagues, that's what I would do. I would have a hair policy. I'd have a uniform policy. And you know what? If I'm paying this guy $20 million a year, the least he can do is go get himself a haircut and shave once a week. That is not that much to ask.
Yeah. So I got to admit, I like long hair even on guys because everybody now wears their hair really, really short, the younger people. But I hear you. Give it a little bit more.
Isn't that what makes the Yankees so special? Is when you're on the Yankees, you got that look.
Yep.
Now, the Red Sox, to me, look like the dirtiest, grimiest bunch of crumb bums. I know you can't do anything about the tattoos.
Yeah.
Because you can't, once the tattoo's on there, they're tough to get rid of.
But they got a lot of tattoos?
The baseball players?
Red Sox.
Oh, yeah. The Yankees, they all do. All the young guys. They're all loaded with them.
Yeah. And my question of the tattoos, and I'm not meaning to offend any viewers out there with tattoos. However, I hate them. And I just remember my dear old mom was like just a little boy. Oh, honey, they just look so dirty. And I've never put anything on myself.
I can remember my father just raging about if he saw anybody with a beard, he would not be impressed.
But David,
my mother hated him.
David, you're 25 years old, okay? And you get all these tattoos. Then you get old, like somebody that might be 67. What are those tattoos going to look like?
We saw when we were in Quincy.
Fortunately, Hawk, as someone who's 67, fortunately, I can't personally shed any light on that.
You're 67.
Saw in Quincy, in front of the tattoo parlor there, because I took my daughters out to eat last Friday.
Not to the tattoo parlor.
Not to the tattoo parlor, but to some nice pub. Oh, it was 2 weeks ago, because that's when I watched.
Did you get out were you in the water or were you more downtown?
Right. It was near It was downtown.
I don't know, in fact, Quincy that well.
And anyway, it was a sports bar, and there was about 42 TVs on, and they all had the basketball game on. It was a game when the guy from the Celtics broke his leg.
Gordon Hayward, opening night
Opening
against
night.
Cleveland.
Against Cleveland, yeah.
So anyway, I asked the guy at the bar, I said, can you put one of these TVs on a Yankee game? He looked at me kind of funny. He goes, that one over there.
Right in the corner.
And,
over in
that was
dark
a
corner.
game where the Yankees were losing 4-0, and they ended up winning
I watched that game.
6-4.
Yeah.
And but
Duke, what time is it my watch stopped?
The time is, we're moving right along, 5 minutes before 9. 35 minutes left.
anyway, the Yankees were good. The baseball was fun. I think the problem is if you look at the Cubs in Cleveland, the playoffs now are so draining that I don't think these
That's a
players
good word for him.
these players recover. Look at Chapman. It took him almost all year before he got better. Cleveland, Miller wasn't quite.
Right. Yep.
The Cubs had a hangover all year.
Yep.
I'll guarantee you that whichever team wins this World Series, they aren't going to win it next year.
Yep.
Because their pitching is shot.
Yep.
These arms, and the guys, I forget who I was watching, is that in the old days, we've talked about this before, starters didn't use up all their gas right off. Well, now
They better because who knows how
they've
long
got to
they're gonna be in
use
there.
everything they got, and the stress is so much harder.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was extremely premature, if you can use the word extremely.
To pull Rich Hill?
To pull Rich Hill last night.
My man, Rich
And
Hill.
Rich Hill is a complete gentleman. The first time I've ever seen him show any emotion. And
It was
He's a
stupid.
good guy. Didn't he have? I think he had an issue with his kids, real serious issue with one of his young kids a few years ago. Good guy.
okay, let me turn over the gridiron and let me just say this Jimmy Garoppolo trade I thought was very, 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 very fair trade. Kudos to both teams. Now,
Just you might remember what I said for a couple of weeks. I think in retrospect, for what that's worth, nothing. But I think I was stunned by the trade. But what are they going to do? In fact, here's a sentence in here.
Tom Brady is a GOAT, greatest of all time.
But
he has not shown any downhill.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Hasn't shown much. And again,
And
just
that
to get-
offensive line is not as good this year.
Yeah,
as
what
it
they
has
were
been.
running into. I mean, Garoppolo obviously in the last year of a contract. I guess they could have thrown the franchise tag on him and ended up paying him more than Brady. They would have been paying.
They had no option.
Well, I've talked to Patriot
Right.
fans.
But the question is, in retrospect, it just seems like I'm getting conflicting info. I mean, the main knock is, why didn't you do this before when he had higher
In
value?
April.
The Browns would have given you a first round. I keep hearing, no, they wouldn't have. I'm not sure if that's the case
But
or not.
I've talked to Patriot fans. Oh, I'm going to miss Jimmy. What are you going to miss?
Jimmy, we hardly
He's
knew
pitched,
you.
Or pitched. Played 6 quarters of his. All right, and I told this to Duke. Last year, Brady was suspended for 4 games. This is Jimmy G's coming out party. If you go 3-1, then the first round picks will come flying in. Okay, he got hurt the 3rd game, first half.
But
he has no
he's,
resume.
But he
Now-
still showed enough for people.
Right.
Well,
Now, the Patriots will get a 33rd or 34th pick.
It's almost like a
guaranteed.
first-round pick.
It's a late
Yeah,
first.
Because the 49ers
And
stink.
I've had
Yeah,
somebody say,
almost a late
oh, they
first
should
round.
have got like a 24th pick. And I said to this person, no, because that 24th pick is a good team, and the chances are they don't need a quarterback. How many quarterbacks are drafted from 20th down to 32? Doesn't happen because these are stable, good football teams.
not to mention the Pats probably not purposely not trading him to anybody who would, a
Come back
team
to beat 'em.
to come back
Now-
and beat him. Right.
The Pats signed Brian Hoyer today for a
did.
3-year contract.
How much?
3 years, probably minimum salary,
Minimum salary being.
probably $1 million, $1.2 million.
Is that all?
But my feeling is Hoyer is there the same duration Brady will be there, because I think Tom Brady will have 2 more good years after this year, and
be.
Hoyer will be the backup. Will the Patriots use that 2nd-round pick for a quarterback? I don't think
Well,
so. I think
they
they'll
might.
probably trade. If they're committed to Brady now, period, by getting rid of Jimmy, So I would maybe 4th round, maybe take a flyer on
Garoppolo. I mean, that
Well,
seems
look at
like that was a
Jacoby.
good pick when
Look
they got
at
him. Jacoby,
That
too.
was a nice flyer.
Hawk, just as you said, here's the back of the Boston Herald. This is from a Steve Buckley column. Prepare to grow old with Tom Brady for better or worse. That's the line.
But let me say this, and I'll let you chime in, David. Tom Brady has a special diet. This guy takes care of himself better than any athlete I've ever known. His physical training, he doesn't have any muscles on him, but whatever he's doing, I bet he does a yoga and all that. He is in supreme condition.
Which, for the record, is not to say his season couldn't end in the first quarter next week, as it did.
Right, but I'm going to pose
you
this.
just make him. Don't make him have to be sued. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. But don't make him have to be sued.
They got a special.
Things happen.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, both of you guys.
But
name
the Pats
me
didn't
one
have
team
a choice.
that is a playoff-bound team and a serious Super Bowl contender that if their quarterback goes down, that the number 2 guy will come in.
There aren't any.
There is none. Okay,
Not in the NFL.
You don't want, if we think Jimmy G is going to be good. Now, I read today Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the Niners, say there's a chance Jimmy's not even going to play at all this year because he's got a playbook, a very complicated system. I'm sure he'll play in December.
That's a very good point. So the Pats are in no different position than anybody else.
And listen, when Tom Brady goes down with an injury or he finally runs out of gas, then you take your lumps and go 2-14 the next year. Then you draft a quarterback. I don't think there'll be one single Patriot fan after 20 years of Tom Brady that is going to say, this sucks. We're a horrible team.
Colin Cowherd, I heard him today. He loves Belichick and Brady, but I think he's one of the people who said, "Hey, they could have gotten so much more for Jimmy G a while ago." I'm not sure that's true or not. His line today, and he loves Belichick. His line, Pats fan, enjoy maybe the next 2 years if you're lucky. Then it's over. See ya.
Right, but you know what? That's 18 and 19. That's a long time. And Jimmy G turns 26 for the record tomorrow.
I think the one, and I've made this point a couple times in the last couple of weeks, I think, or within the last month. The one criticism looking back I would make is, given the fact, it looked like Jimmy G. The guy wants to play. They were going to have to pay him mega bucks if they could even keep him. It was pretty clear, they couldn't keep him and Brady past when his contract's out. So I was making the point, Jacoby Brissett, there's a guy who could have been Brady's understudy for just like Jimmy G.
Yep.
Traded him for a receiver.
Not bad. So keep him and trade Jimmy G before when they maybe could have gotten more. I think that's the fairest criticism.
But they got a draft pick for Jacoby that they will use.
They got a draft pick. They got a receiver who's done nothing.
Philip Dorsett, who was a former first-round pick of the Colts.
Who's done almost nothing. Maybe he'll do something.
But kudos to the Patriots. I thought.
Well, the other thing is the 49ers could be getting nothing because Garoppolo is still a free agent.
They got to sign. This assumes they sign him.
Well, what they can do is franchise
They
him.
will. I saw him. He's very happy to be there. Now, let me tell you this.
Oops, sorry.
Let's talk about the Niners. They'll either be picking first or second, okay? They will trade that pick and get tons of draft picks. And that was a great trade for the Niners. Now, if the Giants finish right where they're sitting right now, 3rd worst record in football, the 3rd pick.
So their quarterback?
They need offensive linemen.
Right, they do need. But the Giants could go, as we mentioned earlier, if they trade them to Denver, whatever, we could get our pick of the litter for quarterback.
I'm surprised they didn't sell off a bunch of guys at the trading deadline because we got guys that are still good.
My feeling there, and I agree with Leonard Parent, that we need a clean house because Ben McAdoo's lost that locker room.
He's lost
now
it.
with Janoris Jackrabbit Jenkins being suspended. But there's still a wealth of talent on the Giants. We just need to shore up that offensive line so they could turn right around, David, and be a 10-16 very easily.
Well, and then Eli's
year.
still another year older, and he's a little bit slow of foot.
But no, good trade again. Repeating myself for the Niners and the Patriots.
I think just again the timing's the main thing. I think you question.
Now Jimmy Garoppolo might be the best looking guy. He looks like a Hollywood movie star, but he has no body of work. I
Or
think
not,
he'll
or,
be.
or very, very, very,
I think
very
he'll
little,
be
very
okay.
little.
But God
Hey, who
bless
was the
him.
guy they sent to the Chiefs? Everybody thought he was
Matt Castle.
Matt Castle.
That was my last point.
How did he turn
Bill
out?
Belichick always drafted quarterbacks just in case. Ryan Mallett was supposed to.
Out of Arkansas,
Right.
yeah, he was
exactly.
really highly touted.
His problem, Mallett, a ton of talent, but he had issues in college.
Yeah.
I think he's on Tennessee now, Mallett. He's bounced around, or Baltimore. Belichick may draft another young quarterback to develop, but
Of course, there's one thing. A lot of stories about the Garoppolo trade. Of course, one story is that Kraft is so tight with Brady that what you say about Belichick, get rid of a guy a season. Don't hold on to somebody too long. And there's certainly plenty of reports that it's a good professional relationship, but it's not a real tight relationship. So this is from Buckley's column, just saying, perhaps as has been posited, this was not a football ops decision to trade Garoppolo, but an edict handed down from Patriots owner Robert Kraft. This theory holds that Kraft is going with the heart of a fan on this one rather than the brain of a businessman. And because of that, he can't bear the notion of seeing New England's iconic quarterback, and inarguably the GOAT, greatest quarterback of all time, closing out his career as a member of the 49ers, Rams, or, God save us all, one of the Meadowlands teams.
see, I disagree with that because I don't think that was a hard decision. I think that was okay, if Brady's not the best quarterback in football right now at age 40, who's better than Tom Brady right now?
What were they going to...
Who's better than Brady? There is, even at 40, Tom Brady is still the best quarterback. And you know what? Even if he wasn't the best, let's just say he was the 5th best quarterback, I'd be pretty darn happy with the 5th best quarterback. That was
I'm not sure he is the best, but he's obviously right up there.
Who's better, Rodgers?
Brady. Rodgers has won one Super Bowl, but the Packers get knocked out of the playoffs early every year.
Of course, I think Belichick is the difference. If Belichick had Aaron Rodgers, they'd be Aaron Rodgers would have 6 Super Bowls.
I mean, as dry and humorless as Bill Belichick, I mean,
He's the best.
Usually.
He's the GOAT.
He is a GOAT. Yeah, in this day and age of free agency, where you literally lose half your roster every season, and to Belichick,
look at the Giants. They were supposed to be good this year.
Yep.
They stink.
Yep.
They're horrible.
Yep.
The Patriots, when was the last time they stunk? They never have a season like the Giants have.
Let me tell you, the irony of that question.
We paid our dues long ago, but it's been a while.
The irony of that question is last time the Patriots did not make the playoffs, Matt Castle was
They were
quarterback.
11-5.
They were 11-5,
Right.
which never, ever, ever, never happens, okay? So
It's not like they stunk.
I am lucky in my lifetime with some brain wavelength still left.
Hey, you got your 2 Super Bowls.
I've seen I've seen the greatest football player
It's in
of
the
all
record
time.
book still, I think.
Yeah,
I met the greatest football player of all time
So you were down in Miami
when we were in Miami 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah? Who'd you meet?
Jim Brown.
Oh, did you really?
I met Jim Brown, and if you come into my office, there's a picture of me shaking hands with him.
Is that right?
And
He was at the meeting?
what GMC is a big sponsor for Monday Night Football.
Huh.
So what they did is they had
Wow.
one of the nights for entertainment. They had Jim Brown,
Wow.
the Taylor that was a defensive end for the
Jason Taylor, future Hall of Famer, if not already.
He's current Hall of
He is a Hall of
the
Famer.
new class.
Right.
Emmett Smith,
Wow.
the guy from LaDainian Tomlinson, and the guy with Denver, Terrell Davis.
Wow.
So they had those 5. They had 4 running backs.
Wow.
And all Hall of Famers. And so they had a little give and take. And then afterwards, then you could go around. They had it all set up. You get your picture taken.
All right.
I bet those guys each got $25,000 just to
Did
show
you
up.
get a chance to talk to Jim at all?
I
or?
did.
Yeah.
I did. I followed him around like a groupie. I was like the first one. And I told him, and he's shown his age a little bit. He's 81.
Is he really?
And he has a hard time getting around.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I told him.
What a player.
I told him, I said, when I was a little kid in Swanton, Vermont, and I had my football helmet on, I had number 32 on it because it was Jim Brown. I said, I cannot believe how lucky I am to meet you. And he was
appreciated that.
He was a real gentleman.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey and I both had our picture taken with Emmett Smith.
Okay.
And Emmett, I think, was a little he'd been wore out a little bit. Because I told him, I said, I never saw a better game than that game you had against the Giants when you had 166 yards with a separated shoulder, but he didn't say much for that.
All right. Yeah. But Jim Brown was pretty
Jim Brown
tall.
and Jim Brown was
Unreal.
hey, the guy had 12,000 yards when he only played 12 games a year, and he only played 9 seasons.
Yep.
Nobody was better than he was.
Yep.
Didn't he get some grief in the last campaign for not beating up on Trump or even maybe outright supporting him? But I'm sure he got some grief for that from people.
And
what
you know
what a player.
Jim Brown has been saying that these guys should stand for the national anthem.
I've seen him say that.
And the other thing that I give Jim Brown was nobody's fool. Jim Brown grew up hard, and he
Syracuse guy, right?
Right, but he had a couple of guys look out for him, a couple of coaches when he was a kid that helped put him on the right path. And when he was in the NFL, he didn't put up with any nonsense and he wasn't but he's put his money where his mouth is in the last 40 years. This guy's been working in the ghettos. He's been working with gangs. He ain't just taking a kneel and then going to his mansion.
Yep. No, you're right. And people also forget he was an All-American lacrosse player at Syracuse.
Super.
Really?
I'm sure Jim Brown could have played any sport he wanted.
And he was in 30 movies.
Yep.
Wow.
Who can forget the Dirty Dozen?
And the running back either before him or after him, Ernie Davis, and he got some
another Syracuse
cancer.
guy.
He was dead by 24.
Yeah, he had Hodgkin's.
Great college.
Because I think he got drafted by Washington and was dead 2 years later.
And he was from Syracuse also.
Yeah, he played at Syracuse.
And then, of course, the other running back they had after that, Leroy Kelly.
No, he played at Purdue.
No, but Leroy Kelly for the Browns.
Right, he took over for Jim Brown out of Purdue. Yep. So,
speaking of Syracuse, I know there are a lot of Syracuse people around. What a huge win over, not exactly mine, but over Clemson a couple weeks ago. Although Clemson in the college rankings still is worked back up to number 4 despite that loss. Syracuse has played a great game. Sorry, probably still about 17 minutes.
Okay, half my watch's batteries are dead.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
I want to talk Celtic basketball.
Hawk, are we talking the Celtics becoming Duke North here? Is Mr. Okafor, is that likelier than not that they may grab him?
Jahlil Okafor, number 3 pick 3 years ago, has been a complete
on the 6th,
bust.
And they didn't pick up his next contract.
He's been on the worst team in football. Or basketball.
And the Celtics have always had some interest in him.
He's only played 1 game all year. He's buried at the end of the bench.
Wow.
He's asked the owner for a buyout, and he won't be granted a buyout. Extremely lazy when it comes to defense. He's never played a lick of defense his entire life.
There's not a lot of people who are 7 feet who have some at least offensive ability.
He's good in the paint, but things didn't work out for him. He's immature and blah, blah, blah. However, the reason they won't give a buyout, because the only team in the NBA that has any interest, and the Celtics are actually very interested
because of the Gordon
in him.
Hayward, they've got some.
They have
some free
$8
money
million,
now. 8.6, I think,
in the disabled player exemption because of Gordon Hayward. So I would take a flyer on this guy. They did do the rookie extension. They could have had him for 1 more year at a paltry $6.3 million.
Didn't do that.
They said, no, we don't want you back. So now.
So is there anything standing? I mean, what's standing in the way of the Celtics getting him if they want him?
Well, maybe a second.
He's still Sixers property.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for this year.
Yes.
Okay, for this year.
Yeah, but
what about after this year? I mean, because the Celtics.
He'll be a free agent.
He's a free agent.
Yeah. But Celtics, Jason Tatum the other night.
Yeah.
How I'm falling in love with this guy.
Well, not only he had 11 bounds the other night.
He was horrible shooting. His shooting hasn't been great.
Erratic.
But I always like guys that contribute. He's an assassin. He's paid to shoot, but he was off.
Hawk, but rebounding.
He had 11 rebounds.
Saw that.
downside of the Celtics last year, they couldn't rebound. They might have been the 27th worst team in rebounding last year. Tatum, and I like using this phrase, like, the hockey, he's great without the puck.
Yep.
Those are the great players. They know how to play without the puck. Tatum, and when I'm watching Celtics, I'm just watching, forget the ball, he has a knack just to sneak into places, whether to get an open shot or a rebound. And rebounding's all about, do you really want to get dirty? He's getting rebounds. It's all about positioning. Tatum, what a steal at third. Danny Ainge always said that was our number 1 overall pick. This kid out of Washington, Markelle Fultz, is IR right now. He's got serious shoulder issues.
Mr. Belly got his father, I think, maybe a torturous issue for
and Ball
Lonzo.
On the Lakers. I didn't want that show anyways. So Tatum's good.
So Fultz, who did? Oh, Flyers. Not the Flyers, but the Sixers got Fultz?
And we got the stupid Sixers first-round pick for that trade of 2 positions. We got the guy we needed.
And you got the guy you got the best player anyway.
Yeah.
I think so. For the record, Tatum just took 7. The game you're talking about, you make it sound like he's just 2 for 7. He just took 7 shots that game.
Yeah.
But I looked at the box score and I said, wow, 11 boards. That's impressive.
Yeah. You used the right word. He's been erratic, but he's averaging 12, 13 points a game.
In fact, I think even 15. I think even
he was 15.
Okay, is he
dropped.
down a little?
He's getting a lot more playing time than they thought.
This Gordon Hayward, David,
the Hayward injury.
might be blessing in disguise. I say that November 1st. I may have a different opinion March 1st. The word,
in a way,
Coach Brad Stevens is giving to Kyrie, and I'm giving kudos to Kyrie. He, at this point, for the most part, is being a facilitator.
And playing a little, isn't he playing a little defense anyway?
He's attempting to play some defense. The future of the Celtics, aside from Irving, is Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He's getting the ball to these guys. Now, if Kyrie Irving needs to score, he will score. But Stevens is telling him he wants him a little bit more involved. He's averaging 20, 21 points. He can average more if he wanted to.
Well, Irving can make his own shot.
Yeah.
He's got a knack of when even if there's 6 guys on him, he can still get a shot off.
He's
not many guys can do that.
Best finisher in basketball.
Yeah, he's good.
And the whole key to this team is this Aaron Baines out of Australia, born in New Zealand, but grew up in Australia. We got him from Detroit, 30 years old, big white dude, just all muscle. He is a guy that they haven't had since a young Kendrick Perkins, and he gets dirty. It allows
Mr. Teese can do some banging too, can he?
Who's that?
Teese?
Oh, yeah, out of Germany. He's a good backup.
What about the guy that...
Al Horford.
Like
Al Horford
Horford's
has been able to play the number 4 position. Okay, and him and Kyrie are just meshing.
Horford's having a very good early
because
start.
He's playing 4, not 5. So you let Bynum get all the...
Now, the guy the Celtics got rid of, the 2 guys, the guard, how's he doing?
Of course, Isaiah's in. You're talking
Isaiah's injured. Not Isaiah, but the...
Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley.
I don't know.
I think, in fact, he's doing well.
But you know what,
loves
dude?
This guy.
We could get Bradley back because we have $8 million. We could afford getting Bradley back. But again, would Hayward back Terry Rozier, first-round pick 2 years ago out of Louisville?
He blows my mind.
This
guy looks good.
Can dribble the ball.
Kind of reminds me of Isaiah a little bit. He's even a few inches taller.
And he is a bit erratic, inconsistent.
I had no clue how good he looks.
So with Hayward not being there, these guys, young guys, are getting a lot of minutes.
And who is the other guy they traded?
Well, I can tell you
they really hated to get rid of him.
Jay Crowder is part of
Jay Crowder.
Well, I can tell you this. Jay Crowder was in the starting lineup of the Cavs. They took him out of the starting lineup. Had not been playing well with the Cavs.
Probably a better kind of second unit guy anyway.
But I'm telling you, David, this trade with the Cavaliers, and I know they've got Brooklyn's pick, but if you check the standings, Brooklyn's has actually been winning some games this year. It's a steal. I'm not saying Irving's the best guard in basketball, but he's definitely a top 10
And I'm
guard.
not beating. Isaiah was coming off an incredible year, but again, just seems like we certainly agree. They weren't going to pay Isaiah mega bucks. I mean, as good as he is, a 5'9"
He's old.
guard.
He's 29 years old. Okay?
No, I think that's right. I mean, I think that was if the Celtics are trying to keep going up, I mean, that was a huge trade.
Well, the team they had when
Sorry,
as far as
Isaiah,
it was
I mean
going to
no
go,
offense to you.
Exactly.
they had reached their limit.
Absolutely.
And Hawk watched every minute, every second of these guys. I mean, what a fun team to watch
Last year,
Yeah, talk about an overachieving
Well, Brad
team.
Stevens said, and I quote, "It feels like I got fired and hired on a new team because all but 4 players remaining."
4 players.
And he says, the best part of this is I didn't have to move. But this year is more of a 21st century team. The 3 superstars, where last year was the blue-collar lunch pail group, which is still a lot of fun to watch and mesh as a team. But this team right now, they put Hayward in the rear view mirror, and these guys, and Stevens is such a great coach.
He's good. Danny, I mean, we talk about Danny Ainge doing a pretty good job. A lot of people don't even think about what about the bread? Nobody was onto that. Danny did that so quietly. All of a sudden, they introduced Brad Stevens as their.
Hey, how much time have we got
How much
left?
time?
We got about 9 minutes.
Oh, I did Saturday. I went to the America East Cross Country Championships at Hard
I
Act.
saw my friend. I was bartending at the Opera House in Enosburg Saturday night. Mr. Bill Brook, Karen Carpenter tribute show.
Did you go to it?
Show. I was bartending at it.
Oh.
I was working it.
Okay.
And,
yeah, she's good.
And you're right. The first half, I agree.
Then she got in
more
some,
the old, more the
Then
oldies.
she sang songs. Susan Olsen, is that her name?
Something like that.
She
I
does.
talked to her.
She's
Nice
a
lady.
Vermonter, and she does Karen Carpenter. So I saw her at Higher Ground
Tribute show.
earlier in the year. First half was fantastic. Then she sang a bunch of songs I'd never even heard of.
I'm mentioning that
but
because
go ahead.
Bill Brooks was there.
And let me tell
was
you
at the meet.
something.
He was
Courier girl.
She is a machine.
Yeah.
She's unreal, huh?
She won that race. Now,
By what, 50 seconds or
almost
something?
a minute.
Wow.
She was 16:45, and the next girl was 17:33.
UNH
and
team.
I got a feeling that if she was probably on cruise control,
Wow.
because she was like you know how much a minute is?
Oh, it's
And
a
the
lifetime.
rest of the pack was all behind her.
Wow.
This girl is something. She's going to make the Olympic team someday.
Boy,
That was my
sure
question.
sounds possible.
When's
huh?
the next Winter
the Winter
Olympics?
Olympics are this
year.
Hey,
next
she
next
just
year.
beat the national cross-country champion a couple weeks ago at some tune-up race.
Next Summer Olympics 2020, 2 years after Winter Olympics 2020.
Okay.
Winter
And,
Olympics are in Seoul, South Korea. Interesting place in like February.
I canceled my tickets for the Summer
And
Olympics.
she's no waif. A lot of these runners are waifs. This girl's
Winter
a strong
Olympics.
girl.
Okay.
She's really got it. And what a beautiful stride. She didn't even look tired.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
David, the weather was good too.
it was a beautiful day.
Unreal day.
Yeah.
And in high
mid to
school,
high
she was
60s.
running that race about 18, 19
For the
minutes.
record, I keep saying any story about her. I see Richford, one story Montgomery. She's a Montgomery
Girl.
native who went to
Richford High School.
High School.
Yep.
That's
And
Montgomery.
just for fun, I went on...
you didn't get a chance to talk to her or anything.
No.
did you?
Just for fun, I went on the website for the America East and the UNH and UNH cross country team. This girl has a resume. She's got a list of accomplishments a mile long, like All-American, like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
America East champion, Eastern champion, blah, 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 blah.
This is her last year. She was a fifth-year senior at UNH.
I think she's the best athlete out of Vermont.
Wow.
Since John
John
LeClaire.
LeClaire.
I agree, David.
That
I agree
sounds
with
like
you.
you can probably easily make that case.
Yeah, she's
That's a good point.
Just one quick point. We talked about a month ago about how hard it is to get out of high school, where every parent thinks their kid's going on.
I know.
Okay. Vermont has 0 Vermonters. In Norwich has one
Is that right?
5'8" petite player
Even
out of
Norwich,
Stowe
huh?
that went to Kimbrell Academy.
Yeah.
Norwich only has one, and I didn't take the time to look at Middlebury and Plattsburgh. But
Boy, that's unreal.
BFA football, I'm going on record right now. They will beat St. Johnsbury this weekend.
Really?
They were way ahead of
At
them.
St. J, of course.
At
right?
St. J. They're playing Friday night,
Wow.
and that might be on the computer on that NSN. New England
Well,
sports.
they were ahead of them last time, 28-14.
Yes.
Were there 28-14?
Yes.
And they ended up losing.
So
The Hilltoppers.
Yeah. So if I'm golfing, but when I get home,
So you think he might be able to get it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we've got. I've talked to a couple of the coaches, and we've really got 28 good football players.
Small squad,
But what they've got is quality.
they're out for football because they want to play
and
football.
they've been lucky they haven't had injuries.
Injuries, yeah.
And but they've got their hands full with St. Johnsbury. I think St. Johnsbury is a good team.
Hawk,
They're
I
deep.
thought of you. Messenger had a nice story on one Hannah Smith. Does that name ring a bell at all?
Is she a sports?
She's the one girl on the MVU football team. Do you know?
I read that.
Sounded like a great kid.
Yep.
And some of the, there were references to a girl saying, "Why do you want to be on the football team?" No offense, girls, but they're easier to deal with than you. You girls are too much drama. I like the boys
See,
are better.
I read that paragraph.
She's a defensive back, I think.
Yeah, and
Does she
that's the
play at
most-
all? A little bit.
A little bit. That was so
that's
true in
all.
that paragraph. Guys are easy to deal with because
Girls,
if
too
David
much
and I,
drama.
Oh, I can tell you
right,
that for
if David
sure.
and I were working together, we got in a fight
not to beat up
at
on
11
girls,
o'clock in the morning. By 1, I'd be buying him a coffee. Where and I don't want to make generalization, but girls get in a fight and it lasts for months.
So the MVUs did have their playoff game
They
against
lost
what, Mill
30
River?
to nothing against Mill
So
River.
30 to nothing?
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like a horrible effort. Huh?
Yeah. So, if they get the
I'm
program
glad they got their first win. That was
back on the
great.
field, they apparently got a $10,000 anonymous donation to
That
keep
was
that
the word
program
from the Wall
afloat.
Street Journal story.
But
I'll tell you what. Going back to coaching, I've coached
everything.
You know
everything.
something about coaching.
Everybody I talk to, from age 1 to about 12, girls are way easier than boys. They just do what they're told.
Yeah.
They're terrific. And then when they get to high school and things, the difference between coaching a girl and a guy is you can tell a guy how stupid he is.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they don't take it personally, but you can't yell at a girl.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it. I'm sure there are some girls that work that way, but I remember when Emmy was getting recruited, one of the coaches that wanted her said, "Well, I'm not sure. Can you handle being on the third or fourth line? Because a lot of times the girls, if they aren't playing now they get sensitive that way. Now you take how many guys try out to be number 11 and 12 on a Duke basketball team,
Right.
and there's what do they have? Probably 200 guys try out for that,
Probably.
and to get in the
There were
game
some
maybe.
former the Vermont Twins there
Yep.
from Shelburne were
And you might get in a game, maybe 4 or 5 games a year. You might play
if
3
you're lucky,
minutes.
If you're lucky.
Because when you're 11 or 12, all the other second team's already in there. So it's a different thing, but and it's okay.
Should we briefly take note of Tiger's latest comeback? Where it's a pretty safe. It's a pretty safe place to go.
Back in the Bahamas,
Isn't this
right?
his
Yeah,
tournament in the
it is.
Bahamas?
But
no,
that's-
no cut, 18 players. Pretty safe play to come back to. I almost feel a little bad for,
I don't feel bad for him. He's a dirtbag.
Yeah.
Tiger's return, like his previous ones, ultimately measured by performance. That's the headline in the Doug Ferguson story. But anyway,
He's almost run out of second chances.
Yeah.
And
But David, my problem with him, and I said it numerous
the
times
hero,
on
the
the
Hero
show.
World Challenge week after
1 minute.
Thanksgiving.
Great.
1 minute.
So I'll speak quickly. He'll play in December down the Bahamas, but he won't get on a regular schedule, and he won't admit to himself, I'm like the 500th best player on the tour right now. I need to get better
he
and
can't
play.
practice with you got a bad back.
But he says he's fine now.
can't-
But once
forget
you get a bad
forget
back,
it.
you're right.
He can't
If he's
do
in
the
a-
work that
he's
you
in a
got to
real-
do.
If he's in a real
I just
tournament,
want to say,
can he make the cuts?
it was
He
so
only
much
gets-
having you back on the show after 4 weeks. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Next week I won't be here.
Oh, jeez.
I'll be
David,
playing at the Palm Beach Hilton or
okay,
whatever
let me
the golf
tell you
course
what,
is.
contract negotiations are coming up in 8 weeks.
Hey, I bet you I still haven't been gone as much as you have.
No. Although I will take a week off in November in 3 weeks.
How many, Richard and I, he was gone a lot.
Well, I'm gone. Nighthawk and I mean, our schedules are great. I'm gone for like a month.
I
and
had a
he's
pretty
gone
good
for a month.
stretch, but
I
I've
have
been
to
bad
say
lately.
goodnight
You've been
for
fine.
Joanne. the stranger. Mr. Duke, I'm the Nighthawk. Until next week, everyone, remember, you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.